morning, guys, and welcome back to your Tuesday edition of the Now Morning Show, where Richard Solomon joins us for another enlightening conversation. If you aren't familiar, he is the Managing Director and Principal Consultant at Development Consulting Center Ltd. And this morning, we are exploring wave-particle duality and leadership. Good morning and welcome back.
Good morning to you. Nice to be here.
Now, I've read a lot of unnecessary information for whatever reason in my life, and I know that wave particle and those specific terms are terms in quantum physics.
They are.
How are we aligning that to leadership?
So, a lot of what we do, and a lot of what we've built and created, and how we live, we've taken cues from Mother Nature. That's true. I mean, think about, I don't know, a helicopter hovering. You know, it's like maybe like a bumblebee or something like that, right?
Okay.
We've taken from Mother Nature. So this is not different. I mean, so wave particle duality has to do, it's one of the base concepts of quantum physics,
right,
which studies the subatomic parts of life on planet Earth, right? So essentially that's what it is. What it has to do with leadership is, first I need to answer, what is it?
Right.
So it basically says that something can be in two states at the same time. So think of light. Light can make a rainbow. So the rain falls and there's no pot of gold, folks. There's no pot of gold, but the rain falls, and then you see a rainbow. It's because the water droplets is refracting the light in a way that allows the light to show in its different colors. The light is actually bending in waves, right? If you think of a prism, sort of like a pyramid of glass, it does the same thing. You could make a rainbow, right? As a little boy, I remember taking the garden hose and spraying the water. If you do it just right, you'll make a rainbow, right? No pot of gold, trust me. So that's one state, but it's the same light that if, for example, you're turning on your air condition unit or your television, it shoots a beam straight into the receiver. It's a straight beam, not a wave. The light can behave in two different situations or different ways depending on the circumstance or the environment that it finds itself in.
Okay, I'm with you,
right? So that's a basic concept. And I'll tell you, I didn't make this up or any of this, like to put these two together, I didn't. I was asked to speak at a conference. This is the Loud 2025. It's happening next week after. I think it's the 5th to the 7th. And the themes that they chose are all from quantum physics. And I was like, oh, bet. You know, the young people say bet. So I was like, okay, let's do that. And physics was one of my favorite subjects in school. So you could easily see the connection if I say it like the way I just said it. So what does it have to do with leadership? Well, we're in Industry 5.0. This is where now we have this human-machine cooperation. And all of the futurists, all of the projections, all of the movement that we're seeing is telling us that both Industry 4.0 and 5.0 are people-powered. You actually need more people competence, even though the machines are figuring so highly. And the reason for that is because the machines are taking over some of the more mundane things, as we've always done. So we hand it to the machine and say, you do that, you do all the searching for us. We will do the thinking about how we want to treat with the data that you have handed us. But because of that, what is the work of the humans? Well, the work of the humans continues to be an increase to more human interaction. So let's enter leadership. In a time where people are being asked to adopt different ways of being, we need leaders that can both be wavy, collaborative, and straight executors. See?
There's the duality.
There's the duality. And I mean, if you want, we can have a list of dualities. Like, for example, we could talk about, do we focus more as leaders on profit or building competence? That presents a duality because you do have different stakeholders, and those different stakeholders, they want different things. And we could go on and on. There are many dualities. For example, if you run a factory, and let's say you make clothing, fast fashion, they call it now.
Right.
The extent to which you pollute the environment may influence, and how you treat with those pollutants may influence profitability. Because if you spend more money to make sure that you are not polluting, then it reduces your profitability. leaders have to be able to now go across the spectrum in this wave-like and straight manner and know when to do what. When to collaborate, when to say this is the direction that we're heading. So hopefully I gave a decent explanation.
You did, you
Okay,
did.
all right.
I'm sure non-physics minds can grasp the concept of that need to be able to pivot or have the right approach in the right time.
Yes.
But the first example that you used in terms of the duality, I think could work hand in hand. Like we were saying before, two things could be true at the same
They
time.
can, yes.
And so this, in terms of leadership, sounds like a time and place situation.
Yes, it does sound that way. There is a challenge that I didn't mention. As humans and as leaders, we have preferences. Call them our behavioral set points. There's a way we like to be. Simple example, you look in some people's car, you'll find a cooler, a cricket bat, a pair of sneakers. There are people like that. They wear bright colors, you know. I'm not talking about you necessarily. I'm just saying people.
Definitely with the cricket bat.
And then there are others, you look in their car trunk, and what you will find is a bottle of water, maybe a little cloth, jack, handle, things where they're supposed to be, and no extra things.
Right.
Now, that has a lot to do with their behavioral set point, how they've sort of trained their brain to interact with the world and operate. Well, leaders have a similar behavioral set point. Some leaders are very, I say we go in this way. This is what I say we're doing, and I'm not asking you, and if I want your opinion, I'll give it. And that's on one extreme. And then you have those leaders who tend to be very wavy, you know, maybe to the extreme, and can never seem to make a decision. So what you think, and what you think. And I'm saying that both have their place, but when you have a set point, it's difficult to go to the other place.
Impartial to one more than the other.
Precisely. And very often, if you haven't done the work as a leader, you don't realize that you are inappropriate for the circumstance. Light doesn't have that problem. The particles just adjust because in nature, it's set up to do that. I mean, I don't know who and what and how it was set up, but the fact is that it does it, right? But humans, we have to now make these decisions as to whether to go this way or that way.
A conscious decision.
Enter some data. I started asking a question maybe 3 years ago, sneak it into some of our work. In our organization, we don't rock the boat. I put that in, and then I say, agree, strongly agree, and I go down the line. 69% of people agree with that question across the Caribbean.
We don't rock the boat.
We don't rock the boat. We're a safety-seeking people. A next piece of data. Yes, we are. Very safety-seeking, very risk-averse.
I'm not disputing that. My thought was just, the forum eyebrows was just a thought of, but that's human nature. We want habit, we want consistency, we want safe.
Yes, because about 90% of our, 95% of the blood flow in our brain is all about safety.
Yeah.
There are populations, however, that are more exploratory and less risk-averse.
We're not them.
We are not them.
Got it.
So when we look at our population and we look at a population of leaders, and we have now thousands of people in the database, most of our leaders are very risk-averse. So when I hear, for example, someone from another country says, you know, we've bought all this equipment and we want to move to another level of operation in terms of technology, but we can't seem to get all the bodies, meaning the different entities involved, to come together and make a decision about moving forward because people are protecting themselves. That has to do with risk aversion. That has to do with people not being willing to step out. Right, and if you look at we have, as I said, thousands of leaders. You look at the population of leaders, you would find that there is this passion, this tendency, this bent towards organized, structured, pencil sharpened, facing the correct direction. Pictures are straight, and that's good because we want to be safe. But on the other hand, in Industry 4.0, we need to innovate. So those clash with each other.
So we need to rock the boat.
We have to rock the boat, yeah.
But technically, life does that. Life, it will come in situations, there will be ebbs and flows, and there will be the need to adjust altogether.
Smart organizations change before they have to. So we don't wait for the world to push it on us. Because remember, when you get on a plane and you sit down, you buckle a seatbelt, they do the safety briefing before an emergency. They don't wait until the emergency. So if you are adapting in the middle of all this craziness, you're not going to do your best work. Ideally, what you want to do is be the kind of leader that is able to go out and say, let's see what's happening in the world. Where's this thing going? where are my people, my shareholders, customers, etc., and how do we need to steer this thing differently, even though it presents some discomfort to the status quo to which I'm accustomed.
Fair. So, fine. We're rocking the boat deliberately now.
Yes, you should.
No capsizing. We're rocking the boat. What does that look like in terms of leadership actually being prepared now?
Right. So, I'll give you a for example. I was at a conference in Curacao last week, and someone was saying to me, you know, the organization has changed quite a bit over the last 60 years. And in one of our departments, we have some processes, and we noticed that different people execute those processes differently. And I'm like, well, why don't you align them and fix them? Yeah, but everybody know how they do it, and the outcome is the same. I said, well, what about risk? What about legal liability? What about efficiency? I mean, is one person taking 1.5 times the amount of time and resources to get it done versus? But we've found a place of comfort, even though it's not always efficient. So there's a story that goes, a man was driving through a rural area. He came up on a, you know, his kind of old gas station house next door, and there's a dog groaning on the porch. So why is the dog groaning? Because he's lying on a nail. Well, why doesn't he get up? It's not hurting bad enough to get up. So sometimes it looks like getting up and going to find the trouble. Like, where in the organization, we're working and we're getting things done, you know, but this could be done in half the time. This we don't have to spend as much money to do this. Our competitors are now getting to market in, you know, 2/3 of the time that we are, and they're cutting our tail out there. So go looking. In most cases, when organizations say they have misalignment, I say the people who are using the systems already have the answers. Let me talk to them. And 9 3/4 out of 10 times, you know, we're able to solve problems in organizations just by talking to the people, because they already have the answers. But you have to go looking and disrupt the thing a little bit.
So we're rocking the boat. We're definitely making sure that we have two minds about things in a good way, technically.
It's a good way, yeah.
And in terms of embodying what we think was just applying to physics, we're applying that across the board.
You can and you should, especially in this modern world.
Top 3 ways to embody, or to practice wave particle duality.
Well, one would be to immediately work against your behavioral set point. So if your tendency is to be safety seeking all the time, go out and look for a little trouble. 2, and this works. 2 is map what that looks like. Like, you could actually build a map. That's something we do with organizations. We build a leadership roadmap for things that are very difficult for leaders to do naturally. So we say, what would be the first step, the second step, the third step, the fourth step? We create a roadmap. And in leadership, that sounds weird, but in other things, that's what we do. The cameraman who is operating and making sure that we are seen here, he or she or camera person, they have all their steps that they follow. So that's another thing that we do. And the other one, the last one, is I would say for leaders, given the bent of Caribbean leaders, I would say be willing to explore other people's perspective that are very different to yours. Yeah. Fantastic stuff, as always, every time that you join us. And I look forward to the rest of this conversation, because something tells me this is just the beginning. Well, let's see how that goes. We say that a lot here. Because you're here all the time. But there's always something more that we can cover. Because exactly, the leadership module is being fleshed out altogether. And for now, you guys want to stay tuned, because we have even more after these messages. Shamla is coming up with unique, not different. Stick around, guys. But I still want to, 'cause every day